Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and since it's Women's History Month, I'm here today to talk to you about Buffy Season 3 Helpless. So this is an extremely good episode. It's very well acted, it's very well paced, it's very well directed, and it's very well written. This is one of the best episodes of Buffy. It has a true horror feel to it, which is something the show sometimes lack. Because even though there are monsters in the show, every once in a while it never really feels that scary until it does. And one of the things that takes you out of place is that whole Josh Whedon humor type stuff that he adds into Buffy and all his projects. However, one of the great things is that there's very little humor in here. In fact, it mostly centers around Giles and that of Buffy. Her friends are really like barely in the episode, and I really enjoy that. Every once in a while, her friends can get kind of annoying at times, especially Xander. Xander is just not written very well, especially in today's time and stuff. And so, like, this episode, like I've been wanting to talk about Buffy for the longest time for Women's History Month. Yeah, I know it was last month, but I ran out of time. So yeah. And so like for the longest time I was in like wondering what episode should I talk about? What episode should I talk about? And then it dawned on me I should talk about this episode because in this episode it shows Buffy at her strongest and at her weakest point. And I really love that vulnerability that they showed in the character. And Sarah Michelle Gellar played that very amazingly. Now, what's really interesting and cool is that, like I said, it has a horror vibe to it, but more accurately, it has a slasher movie vibe to it. There's a lot of dark shadows. There's a lot of creeping around corners. There's a person trying to kill you. It even has slasher type music to it. And the way Sarah Michelle Gellar runs in this is very reminiscent of how she ran and I Know What You Did Last Summer. And not only that, some of the music in here is from I Know What You Did Last Summer, from when she's running from Ben Willis. And the reason for that is because 2 years prior, she filmed I Know What You Did Last Summer. So I guess they wanted to play like homage to like that. And so what makes this episode so good for that of Buffy is that Buffy has to be put through a certain test. See, when a Slayer hits like a certain age, because remember, this is season 3, so she's about to graduate, so she should be around 17, 18, something like that, but I'm pretty sure it says her 16th birthday, which cannot be right, because in season 4, she's in college, so she has to be around 18, and Angel makes a reference to this, that he met Buffy 2 years ago, so that would have been, she would have been like a sophomore. So anyway, no, I don't know. Wait, I'm getting my years messed up. Anyway, she was either a sophomore or a freshman when he spied on her in a very creepy, older kind of way. Anyway, she is the Slayer, and during a certain time of her birthday, she has to be put through a test, a test that which she does not know about. Every Slayer has to go through this. Their watcher basically drugs them. In this episode, several times, we can see Giles put up these crystals, and these crystals kind of put her in a trance. When she's in the trance, they drug her with a needle and syringe. This lowers her Slayer powers to the point where she barely has any. When she went out on a stakeout, or what do you call it? Not stakeout, but out on patrol, she sees the vampire and gets her butt kicked to the point where he almost kills her with her own stake. She realizes something is wrong with her, but she has no idea what. And Giles is just kind of playing it off like, oh, you just probably got like a cold or something. And so he knows full well what's going on because he's the one been drugging her and stuff. And so in this episode, she's really happy because her father is supposed to come in, take her to the ice show, because her father is non-existent for the most part in this show. And so, like, her father bails on her, which really upsets her. During this time, she's secretly been hanging out with Angel because he's back from the dead. And so they like train, but they can't train too hard because they get like horny and stuff. And of course, if he gets those like sexual feelings and lovey feelings and stuff, he'll turn back into the evil angel Angelicus and stuff. And so he gives her like a gift for like her birthday and stuff like that. And so while she at school, she sees Cordelia is getting like um treated badly by a guy. She tries to intervene and she literally gets tossed to like a brick bench. And so going to jail, she realized, look, man, something's up. She's at half strength. She can't even beat up a guy. And he's just still blowing this off, putting her back in her trance and re-drugging her, completely eliminating her from her powers. Now, while this is going on, at a certain building, like a watcher and two of his men are there attending to a vampire who they have strapped in a straitjacket. And they have to feed him pills because he was once in a mental institution for like terrorizing and killing women. And so the head of like the Slayer Council is there, and he's telling Giles plain and simple, every watcher has to go through this test. It's not barbaric. We must see if she can survive with her wits without her power. Like, who is the Slayer? Is it the power or is it the girl? And so in this entire episode, that's just basically what happens. Like, at some point, Giles goes against the council and tells Buffy what is up. She is horrified because what happened was the vampire escapes. He kills one of the people that came with the council dude, and he turns the other one into a vampire. And since the other dude knew where Buffy lived, he told the vampire dude. And so like he's like, somehow he found her at night going to her house. And she is terrified, relentless. And it's the point where you never see Buffy like this. You never see her at her vulnerable state. She is literally petrified, like she's in a slasher movie, and she's running just like for her life. And you can really feel that raw emotion through the screen. And so, like, what's really beautiful about this is the scenery, the lighting. It's so much darkness and shadows over people's eyes, and you only see their mouth talking. This is a very well put together episode. Well, of course, when Giles tells Buffy, she is mortified, pissed at him. She does not even want him to touch her, to comfort her, because she loves him like a father and he betrayed her. And she wants absolutely nothing to do with him. And, you can't blame her and stuff. And so when she goes home, she realizes something. Her mom's been kidnapped. And so it's time to see who is the real Slayer. Is it the Powers or is it the girl? She takes a bunch of weapons and she heads out with like a bag. And so when she goes to the place, she's just going around corners trying to like set up stakes in certain places in case she has to get like a weapon. She walks in with her crossbow. But sadly, this vampire overpowers her. And she is terrified and stuff. Like, she knows she's going to her death, but she can't because she has to save her mom. And this is what makes the episode so great, because it's like, this test, you have to ask yourself, is it important or is it too brutal? Is it barbaric? I'm on both sides of the fence. It is barbaric because the Slayer only knows their strength. Everything comes with their power. Her accuracy, she cannot even throw straight. She's weak and defenseless and stuff. And, she could get killed at any point by a vampire, but at that same time, a slayer must be valiant and stuff. They must be able to adapt. And because what if, for whatever reason, their powers just like shut off through like a spell or something? They have to be able to take care of themselves. And that's the importance of this test and why I think, it's nothing wrong with it. If, just like that dude says, the council dude, if, Giles had trained her correctly, then she will succeed in everything. And she does. Like, she's able to outsmart, like, the vampire. At first, she's not able to because she's just running like a helpless person. But when she sees that he needs pills in order for his sanity and stuff, she steals the pills. She goes and finds her mother. And she's creeped out because there are tons of pictures of her mom, similar to what the Joker did to James Gordon when he took pictures of Barbara and stuff in The Killing Joke. And so, like, she manages to get the upper hand on the vampire by trading in water for holy water. And so, because of that, and vampires are susceptible to it, he burns and everything and just turns into dust. By this time, Giles gets the other vampire but nearly dies himself. At this point in time, Buffy is starting to come back around to Giles, but sadly, she must talk to the head of the council dude, and he informs her that she did good by passing the test, but Giles had failed. They feared that Giles treats her like a father, and that he has grown too attached to her, so they fire him. The British dude who's the head of the council plays this amazingly. He has such a cold-hearted demeanor to him and a stiffer up lip. And so the scene is just like performed beautifully with Giles being in shock. Buffy just can't believe what's going on. Giles in denial. And of course the British dude who is like just being like, arrogant kind of. And so nothing phases him. Even when Buffy like insults him, he is just like a real like stone cold dude. But it's not that he's evil. It's just that this is protocol, like the test and not supposed to like succumb to feelings and stuff like that. Because a slayer is not supposed to like, endanger her mission by all these warm feelings. And Buffy is one of the warmest slayers of all time. She is like the most emotional one and stuff. She has a group of people who back her up. And you know what's interesting? Another reason why I like this test is because we see throughout the series, there are humans helping her fight vampires, and they fight them with no superpower strength, so it's kind of like if she's not able to do that by being powered down and they are able to, then what good is she? Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's one thing about like superheroes they have to like figure out. Like Superman, when he loses his powers, he is very resilient without his powers. And the Justice League cartoon, he is still able to do things because he has learned and taught himself other skills. And so I think this is one of the greatest episodes ever. It really showed who Buffy is when she's able to focus and, not dwell on like her fear. She doesn't dwell on the emotion and stuff. She is able to overcome the strongest of like evils just by using her brain. And that to me is like amazing. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.